Yes, wonderful. Welcome back. Not the first time, right? Raising awareness for digital identity since I've met you.
Absolutely. Such a key topic.
It is, yeah. Do you have a first reaction to what you've seen from Annette?
Oh, it's incredible work that is happening at the EU level, but also the work that is happening around the world. Now let's understand why this is so important, right? Could we guess how many trips we made in a year, like as a travel? How many trips in total happened in 1 year? It's 5.2 billion trips,
right,
in 1 year, and average 5 to 10 times document checks. That's 50 billion overheads of doing so. Roughly 20% of the people log in, so basically we can only identify digitally 20% of that trip, of those travelers. And roughly 50% were unhappy because simply, they don't know how the data is consumed. So there's a lot to go forward to, and this is incredible work.
Yeah, absolutely. And building on that, why is it such a pressing need for digital ID to not just have it for individuals, but you mentioned, right, any business will have it and every legal entity. Why is that so important, Annette?
It is incredibly important to make business processes more efficient, create more trust. What if you buy, like I said, if you want to onboard a new supplier, how do you trust that that supplier is who they say they are? There is so much fraud online. So if you can, in a single flow, verify that this supplier is who they say they are, imagine the enormous gains for your process, payments, et cetera. It's just, it is, I don't know if you heard about the EU Competitiveness Compass that was launched by the European Commission. This is a focal point in this.
Right, okay. I mean, this is also exciting, and sometimes it just helps to look at a real-world application, right, to understand how does this play out. So because you brought us a video, right, so to showcase one of the actual cases happening right now, can you quickly brief us? What are we going to see? Why is this video so important now?
Future of travel is ready to fly from the comfort of your home. Right, and this is what the video showcases. So the key, what happened in the video is a pilot sometime last year, end of last year, where passengers traveled from Hong Kong to Tokyo without any physical document check. So from an average processing time of 30 minutes, bringing it down to 3 minutes.
Wow.
So I think this is a great productivity boost. In the way global travel operates. And what's key about this particular pilot is the involvement of governments, border control, and regulators like IATA, which basically kind of clarifies and simplifies that this is the way we want to travel, this is the way the customer would share their credentials, and we want to ensure that this process is completely private, and the passengers are always in control of their data. So I think this is a really one-of-its-kind type of implementation, and we're very excited that Eoghan was the company that provided that underlying infrastructure.
Right. Well, I'm excited to watch this now. I hope you are as well. So let's take some good 4 minutes to look at that use case. And I'd say let's play the video.
Air travel requires a variety of documents in different formats, which travelers are asked to produce again and again. But what if we could digitize all this information, drastically simplifying travel processes without compromising safety or data security? Digital identity is now widely available. It lets people store credentials in digital wallets and share them at will with consent. This is perfect for travel. In partnership with Cathay Pacific, IATA recently conducted a successful proof of concept return journey from Hong Kong to Tokyo Narita for 2 different corporate travelers. One with frequent flyer status and no visa requirements, and the other without airline status but in need of a visa. In both cases, travelers enjoyed a seamless digital air travel experience, using only existing biometric infrastructure and processes at those airports. So what does this digitally enabled travel process look like? First, shopping for flights is simpler, facilitated by the ability to rapidly share a digital version of your data, such as frequent flyer card or employee ID. This ensures customers get quick access to tailored offers without having to manually input data. Interoperability means digital credentials can be exchanged with various parties beyond airlines. The visa application process can be partly digitized and significantly improved. And travelers can then scan their physical visa into their digital wallets. When checking in, rather than manually retrieving and inputting a booking reference, travelers can simply share their order from their digital wallet. The airline can then request the appropriate travel documents, and the traveler can easily share them from the digital wallet by accepting a prompt. Through a travel requirement service such as Timatic, the airline is then instantly able to determine whether the passenger meets the immigration regulations for their destination or any transit points. The traveler remains in control of their own data at all times. This makes the process more secure and less open to fraud. Once check-in is complete, another prompt offers an option for fully contactless travel. Upon the traveler's consent, the relevant credentials are shared with the fully disclosed necessary parties. Our traveler is now ready to fly. All airport processes are managed by biometric identification, from baggage drop-off to security access, immigration, and boarding. All this was made possible despite the variety of credential issuers, verifiers, and wallets across travel stages and jurisdictions. In the case of this round trip between Hong Kong and Tokyo Narita, the credentials integrated smoothly with existing biometric systems, demonstrating critical systems interoperability. The implementation of digital identity across the industry will make this experience the new norm. Governments will play a crucial role by enabling digital wallets and issuing trusted digital credentials for travel. Finally, with a growing number of credential issuers from the public and private sectors, a trusted issuer registry can help ensure safety, accountability, and trust are built into the system. Aviation is ready to deliver a fully digital, seamless air travel experience today. Where will your first contactless travel journey take you?
So Leah, this was the very first implementation, and as we move along in the journey, it would be fully embedded experiences. So even with this particular concept, it was still a lot of clunkiness in the processes.
But wait, what is the reason for the clunkiness if you already?
Simply put, because we were testing it for the first time,
right?
right? So you have multiple different wallets where you can, use those wallets of whatever type of wallet that a passenger has or the airline is providing, but in a classic experience, in the real experience, it will all be embedded within the applications of airlines, airports, OTAs, and so on and so forth. So it would be really a very, very smooth journey. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, ready to fly, ready to stay, ready to, take a boat.
Ready to drive, ready to play in events.
But how soon is this really a reality? Like, what can I prepare myself for? How far are we away from that? Annette?
I've been involved in this, and in a previous job, I was involved in this also very much. We started in 2016.
That's some time
We've been
ago.
busy on this for quite a while. Compliments on your participation. Fantastic. So happy to see this come to life and see the movement of the EU with, it's all the privacy by design principles. The passenger is in charge of their own data. The citizen is in charge of their own data. So we're moving towards the same goals here. And it will take a bit of time, but the steps are increasing. We see now the use of the ICAO digital travel credential. ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Organization that sets standards for passports, and now we have a digital version of that. So that's a hugely important step, but we start seeing pilots, and we started seeing become used. The EU announced the digital passport application,
right?
That should be there by 2030. That will hopefully also
so
provide a lot of
5
opportunities.
years, right? So what's the time window? Do we say 5 years, 10 years?
I'm impatient. 5 years, definitely.
It's a very big market,
Yeah.
right? And it's growing at 6 to 8% CAGR this decade.
Right.
right? So the numbers are just going to erupt, continue to grow. Can we travel the way we do currently? It's going to be a mess. The infrastructure does not support. So we already starting to see that shift with already, when you go to the airports, you are seeing biometric machines everywhere. And the fact that people are not using it is purely because they're concerned about their privacy. So the moment we start offering these critical enablements, it just really, the numbers really go up. But let's zoom out a little bit and understand, are we actually solving a problem? Right, so let's take an example of hotels, right? It's a big audience here. For a large hotel, a global hotel chain, there's lack of identity compliance, right? So even if you go through a check-in process, you still have to go to the counter and say, hey, can we verify you? And one of the reasons is that the hotels do not have an idea of what type of identity documents can be verified, because the user can have many different types of identity documents. Registration data compliance, jurisdictions within a country, states, invite the user or invite the hotels to share a certain type of data information about the guest. Now, that overall creates clunkiness. So we can really optimize and digitize these experiences so that we can really truly provide this connected, seamless travel experience. And this is just on the operational side.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that there's an increase in productivity for travel, but I'd say it's also an increase in convenience for the traveler, right?
Yeah.
So the customer side is probably also very important.
Absolutely, and there's a lot to gain. But there is one thing I'd like to point out is that we've done some citizen research in understanding this new way of dealing data, and that's the decentralization of your data, the fact that you are in control of this data. It's like a physical document is issued to you, this one will be digitally issued to you, but you will be in charge of it, and you will consent to sharing the credential or attributes from the credential only with your consent. So that's a completely different way of dealing with your identity online, and that it's important to understand that, because that will generate trust, and then the convenience this will bring is immense. So, and the convenience for businesses, because you're complying to rules and regulations, you're being GDPR compliant with ease, and so there is a huge demand for this, and the market is immense.
Right. I mean, there is plenty of stakeholders involved, right, to make this happen. You mentioned this is very important to work with the governments, etc. If you had to summarize this, who are the most important stakeholders that we really have to engage to move forward? Because who are you engaging for projects like that?
On the seamless travel side, on the ready-to-travel side, definitely border control, airports, airlines, and hotel partners.
Right.
At least in the beginning, this is the core area where the most need is. There is a separate topic on car rentals, which everybody, it's like average waiting time about 45 minutes. It's too much.
Right.
Right? So we have to solve those things. But I think beyond this critical stakeholders, there's a massive opportunity on driving conversion in the way we book as well. So,
sure.
So I think there's tons to do in that area. Yeah.
Right. And Annette, can you share how the large-scale pilots are validating these use cases that you've also mentioned earlier, and why the public-private cooperation is so important? That's something you highlighted as well, right, in the pre-conversations?
Yes. Good question, and good that you touch on that, because what we're building in the EU, and hopefully outside of the EU, but first in the European Union cross-border, is an immense ecosystem whereby we can share digitally, check into a hotel, open a bank account. When I'm in The Hague and I want to open a bank account in Madrid, I can do that from my couch. I'm on holiday in Italy and I can share my recipe to get medicine, to get medication.
The prescription.
My prescription, yes. And go to an Italian pharmacy, and I'm from Spain. This will work seamlessly, but because it is a regulation, so it's a law in the EU, we set standards, we all comply by this, we trust this. So that's extremely important, and this is why we see that in these large-scale pilots, while on the go, we're sharing experiences, we're building the implementing acts, the architectural reference framework. This is all technical stuff, but that is built on the go. And that's really important, because this is not something that you can ready-made, off the shelf and implement it. This is growing an ecosystem and understanding what this ecosystem can mean and can do. We cannot do this without governments who are issuing you the credentials, and governments, of course, will accept the wallet, let's not forget. And crossing borders, this is government interaction, you know?
Right, okay. I mean, it's way too little time to cover the complexity of this, right? Because you mentioned it, it's, there's technology involved. If then we talk about fragmentation technology, this is a show where we realized this morning we have so many tech companies at ITB, so it would be a good opportunity to raise awareness, what to do in that field. The whole topic of interoperability, but the time won't be enough. So I'm just curious, and I hope this is also what's interesting to the audience. If I really want to read up on this, if I want to stay informed, if I want to follow what's happening as a travel operator or a travel professional, because where can I turn to? Where can I get informed? Who do I have to connect with? How do I stay up to date?
Well, you can obviously reach out to Neokey, and
right.
we can help you in this journey. But the truth is that, you know, when we started to think about this design of how this true global interoperability would look like, we are working with fragmentation in standards. Like Annette mentioned, countries or states are deciding their own standards. And as a company, then we have to ensure that we cover the global standards. And I think this is where it's critical. And that critical infrastructure is what we do every single day. That's what we think about every single day. So global identity compliance, irrespective where you come from, what type of credentials, we can actually help you get there. But I think the future is agentic. And if we are stuck in agentic world where we are prompting to get us to a particular point, but the agent saying, hey, who are you? Can we get this information? We don't know enough about you. I can't use your data. And I think this is where the future lies with us. So if you have these paths to discover and opportunities ahead of you as businesses, there's more money to be made, because simply if you're going to increase and improve experiences and, you know, automate certain processes, customers are going to come back to you, and great efficiencies in terms of productivity when we provide these connected experiences to customers.
Right. I mean, I'm so intrigued about this topic, but unfortunately, we're out of time. But I'd say for everyone in the audience, everyone at home following us in the live stream, make sure to follow Vikas Bola and Annette Steenbergen on LinkedIn. I do, and through them, I learn a lot, because they share from others, they share themselves, a lot of content to stay up to date with. And it was a pleasure, way too short. I hope you come back, and we can reassess every year what the progress have been. So Annette Steenbergen and Vikas Bola, thank you so much, and a warm applause, please, everyone. Thank you.